Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to the SPL for the penultimate week, final day. 4 more sets to bring you from Europe and North America. Alongside me today is Mr. Kevin Adonis.
Starting off today, Paradigm Fnatic, match of the week. I mean, maybe match of the split. This is going to determine which team is really going to secure that second seed, that automatic bye through Super Regionals, although the final week pending, but more than likely, if one of these teams can come out with the 2-0, I don't see them dropping any games in the final week.
Well, we'll see how that one plays out. That will be the first game of the day. But first thing to mention today is the MLG finals are currently going on across the way, and all the Xbox teams there involved. It's been crazy competition over there, Adonis. Have you watched any of it?
I have watched a little bit. A lot of it's been going on during the SPL, but I've been able to take a peek every once in a while. And if you guys want to watch it, esports.smikegame.com for more information. But there's been some really hype plays going.
Well, okay, we're going to take a little clip from there, but I just want to give you a little bit of background information there. Vex versus Onslaught. In the group stages, these two teams faced off against each other. And what ended up happening there was Vex 2-0'd. But then again, in the round of 16, they had to face once more. Let's see how that one went down.
You have to be fucking shitting me.
Oh no, Best, that's going to back!
Oh my god.
Well, one
Back
thing that we can say is that the best team won today.
That...
Because what you didn't see was what was going on the other side of the game as well. There was a big fight that went on at the other Titan, and we could see the victors there were Onslaught, but Vex, well, they did try and make a really good effort. Watch this back one more time now that we can see the whole replay.
That was basically heal you end a game with like 25,000 player healing.
It's not that
It's
hard.
relatively hard.
It's not that hard.
Is this dropship?
Oh!
Oh!
They finally done it, boys!
They're in!
Vex Gaming!
They're in!
Wait, Cataclysm!
Vex Gaming!
Oh no, the ISIS! Oh my god, they stop them!
Oh my god, this is gonna happen! It's at 33%!
25!
Spirit Ball! Apollo comes crashing in! ISIS gets another game! Gog's in trouble! 3%!
1%.
Oh my god, they did it!
Oh no!
No!
They fucking held! What?
You have to be fucking shitting me!
Oh no, Best, that's gonna back!
Oh my god!
Well, one
Back it in,
thing
boys.
that we can say is that the best team won today.
That... Dude, I'm crying. How'd that happen?
Woo!
How did... Like... to end to a back door.
Mind games,
Hey,
dude.
Four,
Mind games.
4 people held 5.
Well, Adonis, what did you think of that play?
Oh my
53-minute
God.
game.
This is the best
A
moment.
0% Titan. Like, it literally said 0%, which means it must have been like under 50 health, like
That's right.
1 extra auto, 1 extra dot from any amount of damage. That honestly reminds me of Titan. Then
That's true.
Then Aquila back at the European Regionals last year
Similar.
to qualify for LAN.
Hey, similar, but we've never seen a play like that. Let's have a look at the brackets now as well. Onslaught did advance, as you could see, over Vex, who they got 2-0'd by earlier. The dropship failed. Here's the brackets. We'll be updating these for you all throughout the day so you can keep track of what's going on here. Team Eager up against Release, Aware versus XGN. And down the bottom half, what have we got, Kevin?
Elevate taking on Onslaught, who we just saw advance past
Yeah.
Vex. And then Juice versus Epsilon, 2 names you might recognize from the Smite Pro League itself.
And winner of this will advance on to the Smite World Championships as well to play for the Xbox scene. The 4 teams are going there, 1 from EU, 3 from North America. And to be fair, the tickets are still on sale to go to that event.
Yeah, swc.smitegame.com. You can go there now, buy your ticket, and head to Atlanta, Georgia for, I believe it's between January 7th to the 10th. It's going to be a lot of action, and that's the thing, right? It's not just the top teams from the PC. It's also
That's
the
right.
top teams from Xbox going to be there. There's even going to be an open bracket at Xbox for the final slot. So if you know, are playing in one of these events, or maybe you guys want to show up and bring your team, you have
maybe
your
Vex
chance.
show up. Vex might show up now.
They could.
They 2-0'd Onslaught, and then they went out. They'll be disappointed, but maybe they'll just show up at the World Championships, and we'll find out later on in the year to see if they do that. Next thing to talk about, though, is Alpha Draft. Don't forget to sign up at alphadraft.com. You can earn real money for your fantasy esports knowledge. Well, what knowledge have you got?
My knowledge is Fnatic taking on Paradigm.
That's not knowledge. That's not knowledge.
It is. Epindary will be subbing
That's
in.
just fact.
There's a fact. It's knowledge too.
I
That's
guess.
what knowledge is.
I
Somewhat.
guess.
I mean, I guess. I mean, unless you want to get it like
I guess.
philosophical words.
And next up is going to be the Odyssey. Don't forget the new War skin, New Horizons, is available right now. If you do purchase that, you will also get, if you get 3 of the Odyssey items, We Are the Ward skin. What is that skin, Kevin?
That skin is a ward skin, believe it or not.
No, really?
I'm just throwing it out there.
says
It's actually
ward
really
skin.
cool. It actually cycles through the Pantheon icons as it, you place it out on, the battlefield
On the
of the
battlefield.
gods, the
Yeah.
battlefield of the gods,
Yeah.
right? And it'll bring up a Pantheon symbol, and then it'll switch between other Pantheons because it's the Odyssey, and it's about, traveling the world and all the Pantheons. As we head back to Atlanta.
All right,
and
let's
the
talk
Smite
about squad goals. Now,
Championship.
before we get into squad goals, Kevin, let's have a look at it first of all. It's going to be double FP, double experience, double worshippers if you play with a friend. Do you have any to play with?
I believe it or not, no, but I
That's a
actually
shame.
tricked a few people into playing with me the other day, and I was getting a lot of worshippers, and I mastered some gods I didn't have.
That's called solo queue, Kevin.
No, I
Solo
tricked
queue.
people into being my friends
Solo queue. You
or
need to,
partying with
need to
me.
learn that one. Fun, interesting fact as well that I found out today about FP. Imagine if there was no free FP ever, which, I get free FP, but imagine if you didn't bet at all.
At all.
At all. If you didn't bet at all, Sylvanas?
Yeah.
You could still get him. He's only 10,000 FP. You know how many games you'll have to play for that?
Probably a lot.
6, 6, 7. That's right. 6, 6, 7 games, you can still get it, but you don't need that because we get double FP schedule. Let's have a look at that for the rest of the day. We've got 4 sets to bring you, 2 from EU, 2 from North America, and we're starting off today with the game of the week.
Oh, you want me to take this now?
Yeah.
Fnatic versus Paradigm up first. Following that will be Myrmidons versus Justice. Justice, they're out of the running for the Super Regionals. However, Myrmidons, they control their own destiny. If they can 2-0 Justice there and then go on and face Dignitas 2-0ing there, they have their shot at the Super Regionals.
Well, let's have a look at the standings here over in Europe, and you can see exactly what we're talking about here today. Fnatic up against Paradigm is going to be the first game today, and you can see that the winner for this potentially, they both hold their destiny in their own hands.
Yes.
So if they can actually both find wins these weeks, then either one of them could be number 2, which gets them a bye.
Paradigm guarantee their 2 spot with the 2-0 against Fnatic here. If it's a 1-1 or a 0-2, Paradigm will have to face Epsilon in the final week, while Fnatic have to take on Titan. So
And at the
pretty
bottom-
important matchup.
Well, at the bottom, though, Myrmidons versus Justice today. Justice will be looking for hashtag don't be 8th, whereas Myrmidons, well, they also hold their own destiny in their hands. If they can 2-0 today against Justice,
Yes.
and then 2-0 next week against Dignitas, they will steal that spot away from Dignitas.
They
for
force a
6.
tiebreaker, though.
Oh, do
They'll
they?
both be at 9 wins, but Dignitas 2-0'd Myrmidons in one of the first weeks of the split. So this could be interesting. We could go and see a tiebreaker.
So EU, very exciting. We'll talk about NA a little later on, though, because there's some big games over there, too. But let's go straight on with Europe today. Paradigm versus Fnatic. What is their head-to-head record? You discussed it earlier with me.
10-10. Historically, this team, since the launch tournament, has gone 10 wins to 10 wins against each other, following the core of Team Solo made back at the launch tournament, which is now the Paradigm roster, and then Fnatic, formerly SK at launch tournament, following the core there with Realzx and Captain Twig and the like.
Match of the week, don't forget, this is what we're talking about all today, and this is the first game we're going to be looking at. I hope you got your votes in on the esports.smitegame.com website, because you can earn 400 gems if you predict the correct result in this game. And if you didn't do it this week, make sure you do next week, because there's still one more chance for free 400 gems in the raffle.
This is a matchup that is almost impossible to predict. Sometimes it's just which team and which individual players show up there. Earlier in the split, we did see Fnatic end up 2-0ing Paradigm, so 2 of Paradigm's losses are off Fnatic here, so it's going to be it's going to be close.
That's a big point, is that Fnatic 2-0'd Paradigm last time round. What's going to be changed for Paradigm this time that's going to adjust it? Well, there's one thing to take into account here. We won't be seeing Captain Twig today. He's not going to be available once again, which means we're going to see the super sub, as I like to call him now, after an amazing performance on Niger. Epindary going to be stepping in again.
I think amazing is really kind of an understatement for how well Epindary performed on that Naja. It'll be interesting to see if he has other junglers outside of it. I mean, we only got to see 2 games of him, but they prioritized, Fnatic really prioritized getting him that Naja, getting him a god that has a lot of early pressure and that you can recover from mistakes with
Now,
a little bit.
Will Paradigm look to try and take that away from him? Maybe ban it?
I don't think QvoFred really plays Najah. Not that he can't, but we haven't really seen that in his COD pool before. If they are going to be taking it away, it will be in the banning phase, not necessarily grabbing it for themselves.
Well, let's have a look at one of the top 3 teams in Europe right now. Fnatic, they are looking for this number 2 seed. They are scrim partners with Epsilon as well. The only team to take a game off the almost undefeated Epsilon this season. And these were the ones that punished them. Like we said, Captain Twig not going to be here today, will be Epindary.
Realzx in that Hunter role combining with Badgah, Zyrhoes in the mid. Captain Twig, like you said, won't be there. maniaKK in the solo lane matching up against Xaliea. That matchup is something that I think we're really going to have to pay attention to. We know maniaKK, one of the top contenders in Europe in the solo lane. However, sometimes I would say he gets a little bit over anxious in the solo lane.
maniaKK goes for blood.
He really likes
blood.
proving that he is one of, if not the best solo laner in
I
Europe,
agree.
and he will take fights. Sometimes not the best
Well, to be
fights.
fair, from what I've seen out of
against
maniaKK overall,
high
I
players.
really feel that now and again, the World Championships, he kind of showed that how aggressive he can be against Devios. But since then, I feel he's toned it down, which is the correct thing to do under the circumstances. So let's have a look at their opposition today, Paradigm, who, once again, they hold their destiny in their hands. They have a full roster today. And let's be honest, these boys are 8-0 in their last 4 sets.
They've been phenomenal, and they did have Dazer sub in for them multiple times. The funny thing for me is every time we interview them, they're like, yeah, QvoFred, he's just kind of getting back in the meta because he was away dealing with a lot of school, wasn't able to scrim or play in the SPL matches. But, QvoFred has been playing phenomenal the past couple weeks that he has been back in that jungle role. So I don't know if they're trying to throw people off or not, but this squad is swinging at full force right now, 8-0 in their recent games.
That's right. Well, it's funny because their recent games, it wasn't like all easy games either. They had to face Dig and Titan in the last 2 sets and defeated them both handily. Meanwhile, the boys of Fnatic, well, they've had a kind of an easier road the last 2. LC and Myrmidons. It's a bit of an easier matchup for them. So hopefully, the boys of Fnatic are prepared for this and they don't undervalue.
I think the best thing for Fnatic here is that Epindary got a lot of confidence against Myrmidons in his last set. I think if he had to face a little bit tougher opposition, if he had to go against Epsilon or Paradigm in his first week, I think he might have struggled. But 2 points for me. It's going to be the jungle and the solo lane. How are these matchups going to perform? It's going to be close.
It's going to be real interesting to see, especially with Qvo coming back and Epindary stepping in once again for them. Let's go into picks and bans of this game and see exactly what's going to happen in the match of the week.
Game 1. First pick going to be going the way of Fnatic. Second pick going to Paradigm.
So with Fnatic getting first pick here, we mentioned the Najah already by Epindary. Will we see a first pick Najah, do you expect?
I don't think so, and if they do, I think Fnatic are only hurting themselves by investing that much into making Epindary feel comfortable.
Bans. I am calling now a Giannis ban from Paradigm, because that's what they've been doing forever just lately, and an Aphrodite ban from Fnatic. Because that is what these 2 teams have done the majority of this season.
And Paradigm, though, they don't really run that much Aphrodite. We've seen Xaliea on it occasionally, although there hasn't really been much success on it. I'll be interested to see if Fnatic stick with banning that out. Not going to happen. It's going to be Sun Wukong.
But if they've banned out for so long, why would you switch it up now against the top team? Are you going to try and play it?
I think it's a matter of the fact that they don't believe Paradigm can really run it.
Well, at least I got one right. Paradigm did ban away that Giannis. They don't give up. Serqet is available. Will we see Epindary go for it? A substitute jungler on Serqet, it's a good opportunity, but if it falls behind, Neith.
They're going to invest in a Neith here, and I like this pick because it's Zyrhoes, but Lawbster plays it as well. This is a pick that both teams run in multiple roles. I like this. This is a completely targeted pick. It's not necessarily a top pick in the meta right now.
I mean,
is
both the mid laners like this. And the one thing about both liking this, they should both know how to deal with it if the other opponent is going to be running it.
Paradigm, they're going to be drafting Serqet, so we'll have to see if QvoFred can make an appearance against Neith. This feels like land picks and bans right now.
It's almost that important to these teams. Take into account, the number 2 seed will get a bye, and this is what they're playing for. And the funny thing is, if everything falls as we expect, then these 2 teams are still going to be on the same side of the bracket as each other anyway at the Super Regionals, which means this is a prelim to the world matchup.
Najah locked in for Epindary, like you were talking about. They are giving the respect and making sure that Epindary will feel comfortable here. Freya locked in for Realzx. This is just so many comfort. These are like gods that kind of just like embody the players that are playing.
We can
them.
say comfort picks, but to an extent, with what Fnatic's gone there, they've sorted out the mid lane, they've sorted out the carry roles, right? The other 2, maniaKK and Badgah, they're going to be the supports that are going to allow these 3 to synergize and do their jobs in terms of carrying. Paradigm, on the other hand, though, they're looking for the engage potential before they look to pick Zhong.
Lawbster going to be picking up the big man himself more than like. He could go to Xaliea, although I feel like this is a Lawbster god. He used to play it a lot back when it was first released. It just really seems to
I'd like an
be
ISIS. I'd like an ISIS ban out of Fnatic. Sorry to cut you off there, but I like an ISIS ban here. The reason being is Xalia's been running a lot this season, and you could potentially flex pick Zhong and ISIS together. I'd ban it just for safety.
It gives a lot of teamfight potential to the Paradigm squad. But
Okay.
it will be the Anher targeting out Funballer there, taking away another comfort pick.
It's against Freya as well, isn't it? So Anher versus Freya, very good matchup for Anher in the early stages. He could look to go aggressive, especially with a Bacchus. It's almost a lot like
It's a
the
kill
Ymir
potential lane more
Anher.
than
Yeah, it's a
anything.
kill lane.
And you know Trix really likes to run these high damage, high burst kill potential lanes. He's got the Bacchus online, so taking away one of the burst hunters gives Realzx, I'd say, a little bit longer of a window to make an impact.
These teams lining up nicely. With the Athena band out, Geb is available for Badgah to look to. Sylvanas as well. He's quite happy to float around on multiple picks, as per usual. The supports in EU are. Chaac, though, going to be heading for Xaliea. We've seen him do this a lot just lately. Fnatic 2, we did see maniaKK play it once.
maniaKK has played it, but for me, it's just Xaliea and how much success he's had on this god. But it's not the first week he's playing, and I can guarantee you that Fnatic has been watching the game tapes of Paradigm and figuring out what Xaliea does, why he's so good on the god, and how to counter it. This is going to be an important matchup, but what Fnatic are going to draft here against the Chaac and the solo.
But why are Paradigm holding their Hunter for last pick?
It seems that they really want to have something to counter. Actually, that is
That's an
interesting that they would
point.
pick the...
Is it something special they're going to run? Their Chronos, maybe? We've seen a lot of Chronos out of them this season. Maybe they want to check what support they were going to run. I guess that's one of the reasons.
That's probably it. They really want to look to see if they can abuse this, the support on his rotations. It will be Ares going to Badgah. And maniaKK picking tier for the second week in a row, something that we haven't seen in quite some time. Only really Snakeskin and Variety have run it in the fall split. So him grabbing this up before land, too, maybe just a deep god pull for him.
Well, we'll see where this goes. It should, I guess maybe Ho Yi's an opportunity here. We've seen a lot of Ho Yi just lately. Will it be a surprise to see him again? No, it will not. I was like working out all the bands. I was like, well, it's either Chronos is what they're holding for, or potentially something else.
There's a lot of kill potential in this duo lane. Bacchus and Hui combine very well, especially against Fnatic, who have Ares and Freya. Here's the thing, though. If you don't have lane control with an Ares, he is really bad in that duo lane. When you have lane control, he is really strong. There's such a wide swing on whether Ares is good or bad, depending on how the game starts off.
I do like Badgah, though, because he's one of these that switches backwards and forwards between the two in terms of aggressive supports and defensive supports. For the most part, when he plays against big teams, he likes to look for these aggressive sort of supports like Ares, and most of the teams recognize that and try and ban that out against him. So having this available to him, it's an interesting matchup between the two, because for the most part, Ares is pretty good at dominating over a Bacchus 1v1.
It really takes away Bacchus's
Well, he can't jump.
best
because of
ability.
chains. And then when you sear in flesh, you can't get knocked up. So 2 times, Ares has a small advantage.
It's a direct counter to Bacchus, but so the thing is, what the meta really has developed into, at least at the beginning of the fall split, and it's kind of changed a little bit, but most of it has been about shutting down the non-mobile supports. That's why we've seen Sylvanas really start to fall off, because as good as Sylvanas is at dominating his lane, when he rotates, he can just get blown up and die. Same with Ares. The Bacchus has a lot more mobility with his jump, with his Intoxicate, has a lot more options to get out here. So it's going to be interesting. Our Paradigm really going to look to focus Badgah, because we do see a lot of teams pick on Badgah when he rotates.
Could try to, but Badgah's got a lot better of realizing that he's the one they're looking for.
Especially compared to Season 1.
Compared to Season 1, yeah, big change around. And one thing that we didn't mention was the no escape on Ares up against a Bacchus as well. Another reason is that Bacchus doesn't get any immunity during his ultimate, like most other gods do. That's why we see him going for these early beads. He's really worried about it.
I really love these supports and how often we're seeing beads. Teams were kind of wary of it. It's like, oh, I don't have to buy Hog now on my support coming into the fall split. Okay, we're going to get 2 defensive actives. Well, or 2 team actives, you know, a Shell and a Heavenlies and Weakening Curses. But honestly, sometimes you just need beads. This makes your support so much safer. It really started, I'd say, with North America. Shadowq was one of the first to really utilize beads on supports. Emilzy on London Conspiracy.
I spoke to Rafa earlier on this season, and he was saying that, you know what, if Hog ever came back and was as useful as it used to be, I still don't think we'd see it as much on supports, because those 2 active slots are very, very important to them now. It gives them so much more extra to get involved with.
It really seemed to have opened the meta and opened the eyes of the players, and now we're seeing much different play styles.
Very early invading the back. Harpies here from QvoFred, trying to deny as much as he can. It does mean they're going to lose a little bit of pressure in that mid lane, but Qvo should be back for the whole wave in time. It takes a little bit of a while for Lawbster to farm up, so trying to deny a little bit of experience here.
Zyrhoes going a different build than Lawbster traditionally will go on this Neith. Actually starting with the Transcendence. Lawbster a lot of times goes Bluestone into Transcendence.
I think that depends on the composition as well, because if you're going to go the Soul Eater for the extra physical, then maybe it'll help. It would be good to see Zyrhoes maybe go for that Soul Eater again, just because he's got a Naja, and on top of that, he's got the tier to support here.
Gives you a lot more options. For now, though, the dual lane of Fnatic getting pushed back. This is kind of what I expected to see for the most part. While Ares has a lot of kill potential, if you can't gain that early lane control, it's really bad for you, because if you try and fight in, especially against a Bacchus, if you don't have that Searing Flesh activated, you can almost get bursted.
We're not looked at the solo lane yet, but they've both got identical builds on Tier and Chaac, as well as they've both got the same amount of potions that they started with. Multi-potions and health was the order of the day in this matchup. Do we expect just a farm off here?
I think we'll see a farm off for the most part. Xaliea is... See, the big thing here is that both these gods have self-heals in their kit, so any poke they take up, they're realistically going to be at full life
but
in a short amount of time.
Right? Tiz has got a better heal overall.
He also has a better escape, which repositions himself. I mean, with
Does he have a
Chaac,
better
you have
escape,
the...
though? He's got Torrent. He can jump to his axe.
Yeah, but it's a little bit of a delay. It's
true.
It's one ability versus two abilities in my mind. So...
Okay, well, level 5s are starting to be reached. Keep an eye on Zyrhoes. He has that World Weaver available, and whenever we've seen the Europeans run this in the mid lane, it's been looking for ganks immediately, trying to put pressure on sides of the map wherever possible.
I'm a little bit surprised here that we haven't seen Epindary get too aggressive. It's understandable because he is against a team like Paradigm, but with Naja, you really like to get rolling early and look for these early engages, especially against a Serqet, who doesn't really thrive for the first couple levels. Heading into the mid game, that's when Serqet comes online.
Dual lane should be looking at hitting level 5 relatively soon. Xaliea under a little bit of pressure in this dual lane from maniaKK, but we'll be able to heal up a little bit off the rain.
maniaKK, though, no blue buff activated. He's actually out of mana, so needs to be a little bit careful here with his mana management. Chaac doesn't really run out anytime soon. His passive actually gives him a free ability cast every 5 autos.
And once these 3 archers die here, we should see everybody in the game actually level 5 now, so all ultimates will be
I love this. I love what Fnatic's doing right here. Realzx, this is not to zone out Funballer from XP. Funballer was still in range, but it makes sure that the wave is still more pushed for their tower.
Gank on right hand side. They were looking immediately for maniaKK, who Lawbringer was used immediately. You can see that Nijar was on this side of the map at the same time. Luckily, he dropped the blue already, so Paradigm are not going to find anything off that.
The question is, can maniaKK actually walk in there and get it? maniaKK actually choosing to back. He's going to be able to teleport to his tower, but Xaliea is playing zone control.
Don't think he'll be back in time mid lane though. Zyrhoes under a bit of pressure here. Going to get kissed straight away into the ultimate, but Epindary engages with a sash onto Qvo to stop any sort of follow-up. Bacchus coming in deep, forcing the ultimate out. The last ghost ticks, but it's not enough to kill the Naja.
Just barely. You could see Naja trying to heal up just in time. No more ghosts were coming out. He was safe, however, just in case that last ghost. So close, and you can see how aggressive Trixtank is, diving straight into the tower, and just a burst of Bacchus without any really magical power in his kit yet.
What a crazy little trade that was, though, because we saw the aggression come out from Paradigm, from Fnatic, the response from aggression from Paradigm, response from Fnatic, and once again, aggression from Paradigm, but nobody ends up dying. A few ultimates have been consumed, though. Can we check in with Tyr and just see if he's got that blue buff? I'm guessing not, because it looks like he's gone back to base again. Oh, he did manage to get out of his blue, which is good.
It had been close. Xaliea was definitely playing zone duty. I think he started to rotate once the fight broke out a mid in case he was needed, and that way maniaKK was able to walk in and secure that. Well, Xaliea for now going to secure his own blue buff, and that's the thing. Chaac doesn't really need this blue buff, just looking for the XP. QvoFred, though, trying to abuse maniaKK. You can see him rotate back in, but the fact that he's walking in a lane kind of tells me that he's just looking for the XP and back.
Well, mid lane going to be an interesting ball game there, because for the most part, Zyrhoes will be able to just free farm that lane. There's no way Zhong can really put too much pressure on with the amount of range that Neith has. And it's going to be up to Lawbster for the most part to make these rotations that the World Weaver is going to do for Neith.
And I really don't expect that that's going to be a big problem. I don't think we're going to see a lot of fight in the side lanes. I think most of this action will be focused on the mid lane. You could already just see how much these teams are rotating, both the supports and the junglers. They're constantly in the mid lane. And the junglers on both these teams are incredibly mobile, so I do expect to see a lot of mid lane team fights.
There's one concern that I've got, though, is that I love the Zhong pick here, but I think Fnatic have done such a good job of picking against this as well. Look at the gods they've got. They've got Ares to no escape and force him out of the situation. They've got Nijar so they can take him into the ultimate out of the fight as well. And then on top of that, you've still got Realzx with a banish that can cause an issue. Hold that fort, right-hand side. A lot of aggression. maniaKK is going to fall down.
Yeah, I mean, QvoFred didn't even need to do anything there. Xaliea just bursted maniaKK down, timing the fact that maniaKK was going to driving strike through the wave. He throws the ultimate down. He's stuck in it. He can't react because you're stuck in that animation lock, and then just does enough damage to finish him off by the time the Lawbringer lands.
It was good work from Xaliea there to realize how much damage he had. He knew he had the rotation coming in from Cuvo, but first blood to the solo laner Xaliea. Paradigm will be very happy with that one, which means we can see Cuvo trying to focus his attention elsewhere now.
Badgah here. Looks like he's trying to set up for a gank, but he's sitting right on top of a ward, so Funballer's going to know he's there.
They could set up to respond to him now because QvoFred and Trixtank are here, but they're stood on a ward as well around that corner. So we won't see any more aggression. The two hunters just going to continue farming off against each other. Mid-hoppies are spawning. We may see a rat on the right-hand side here as they're going to spawn first, but I'm not sure if Paradigm
Are they
know about
looping
it.
under them? Oh yeah, they're looping under them. Lawbster is definitely looking to catch them off guard, but Fnatic, they recognize it. Both slowed, and looks like Paradigm don't want to dive
Only
too
got
deep.
one Harpy there as well. They had to run away very quickly, realize that. But look at Cuvo at the same time. Pressure in mid lane. Badger's going to rotate him. Obviously, Aries very good against the Serqet, locking her down in mobility. But over in the duo lane right now, we've got a man fight between the two big hunters. Realzx gets the banish off and backs away
No
wisely.
abilities.
And there's nothing left for either to do.
He had used his Pulse and Irradiate on the wave, and Funballer took advantage of that timing. Left-hand Harpies, though, going the way of Paradigm as they continue to take these small leads and
So that's three
really
Harpies
be
to
the
one.
aggressors.
3 Harpies to 1, first blood on the table. Let's have a little look at the graphs now to see how this is developing, because it looks like it's slowly but surely going in Paradigm's favor.
1,300 so far, 1,700 in experience, and there's only one first blood. Look at this though, QvoFred, he's looking for a gank. Doesn't look like Realzx is in a position to die, and he's just going to
Epindary
take away
knows
the
about
stack
this
speed
though,
buff.
and Trixtank is trying to do zoning work. Badger's on the rotation back. Cuvo does drip the buff in time. Ring toss misses. No escape from Badger though. They're looking to set up on to the boy Lawbster, but big belly flop. What a combo coming out from Paradigm. They punish Badger for that discretion, and now Realzx has to take to the sky to try and get out of the situation, but they're currently collapsing onto Epindary, who's going to be another casualty.
This is
could
a
be
Gold Fury call. Zyrhoes was forced out. Realzx is forced out. 4 strong, but it doesn't look like they want to do it. I'm actually really surprised. They had a sentry on Gold Fury. Paradigm not electing to go that. Okay.
What was the worry? Why
I really don't know. I think this is them just being incredibly cautious against a team like Fnatic. Take the small wins and make it so when they do the Gold Fury, they are so far ahead that Fnatic cannot contest it. I do think that was a free Gold Fury, but Paradigm,
So
in their minds, it
what
wasn't.
happened in that engagement then? What went wrong for Fnatic that they ended up losing 2 lives?
Badgah, it seemed, wanted to engage, but the rest of Paradigm weren't on the same page. He pulls 2 in, but Lawbster immediately pops his beads too and just turns on Badgah. That's the problem with Aries. If your ult doesn't really do anything and there's no follow-up once the player's beads, you kind of just die, and that's exactly what happened.
Funny thing is, Lawbster as well there, he used his beads after he got pulled to avoid the stun, so he got pulled closer towards Aries first of all.
I love that.
It's one of those small things that you don't realize at the time. People may have gone, oh, he misplayed that because he used beads by mistake, but he didn't. He used it so he didn't get the small stun afterwards. Flop onto Realzx. Aggression still going on, the Suns are down, and Realzx is going to fall down, and there's not a lot Badger can do. He chained up Trixtank, but all he could do is watch Freya die.
I really like that combo. Perfectly timed, really. The fact that they knew Realzx, his ultimate was still down from that last engagement, abused that ultimate timer and lock him down. QvoFred rotating as well, looking for Badgah. QvoFred has his ultimate, not going to need it though as Badgah blinks away.
Good start for Paradigm here. Both these teams obviously still vying for that second seed position. And Fnatic, last time these met, did win 2-0. They've got a substitute today.
Oh, Badgah.
And Paradigm, well, they're trying to make use of this opportunity. They've presented themselves at 10 minutes in.
Paradigm are in full control of this game at 4 kills to 0 and a 2,500 gold lead. They're winning in every single lane. Xaliea solo killed maniaKK. Epindary has been a non-factor so far. Lawbster's found a couple kills in the mid lane and in team fights. And then we just saw Funballer. He was able to take out Realzx when Realzx didn't have his ultimate available. So right now, Paradigm are winning all across the map. A lot of times you'll see wins come from one player gets ahead and the rest are kind of going even, but it's all of Paradigm showing up so far.
Good work from them, and now Fnatic, well, they're still in this game. It's definitely no way near over. For now, as Epidary's going to come mid lane. Left and Harpies are due to spawn again, but they're going to want to soak that experience, make sure they share that out. But once again, Paradigm going to extend their lead with those left hand Harpies too.
Fnatic looks like they want to contest these mids, but not going to be able to do it. Epindary more than likely just trying to steal them away with the Universe Ring Toss, not electing to fight.
Nothing too unusual in terms of build so far. Everything pretty standard between the two teams.
Nothing crazy.
Actually, one thing to mention though, Realzx has gone for beads too early. Now, Realzx is one of these that when it comes to actives, I only ever see him invest in them when he really realizes he needs to. He'll invest in beads 1 flat, but then if he doesn't use it too often, he's very careful about his usage of his actives. And so going to beads 2 so early tells me that he's really worried about the threat that Paradigm have put on him in this lane so early.
And it's not even the threat of QvoFred's ganks, who has been over here a couple times. It's really the threat of Trixtank and Funballer and the burst potential they could put out. We've already seen it. 1 knock-up into a burp stun into also Mark of the Crow and the stun from Ricochet. Like that alone is 60 to 70%
and you can't
of
avoid
his
a
life.
knock-up unless you beads it before it even hits. So farming continuing the dual lane. No junglers over here right now. Funballer clearing this one up. Trixtank just hanging around in the jungle now. Going to make a rotation over there. And actually back to base, I should say, is Zyrhoes. Well, he's going to have
that a normal
check.
ward?
It looks like a normal ward.
Does he have a sentry? So what this is actually a high-level bait tactic from teams where they'll place a normal ward even though they have a sentry in their inventory, because all they want to know is if the other team has a sentry there.
But it costs him 50 gold. Is
That's
worth?
fine. Well, the immediate
that a
plan
misplay?
typically is you'll see your team will then counter ward them, but it doesn't look like Badgah wanted to do that. I think they just wanted to know if Paradigm had vision on it.
Aggression once again from maniaKK on Xaliea under the tower. The trade backwards and forwards. You can see a small lead in favor of Xaliea down to that first blood kill that he picked up for himself. Jotun's online versus the mystical male, and these two get in this duo lane. Solo lane.
And so Xaliea will be losing most of these engagements for now. Xaliea typically just likes to go a damage build, not really worried about the 1v1 in lane and focusing on rotations and doing more damage in team fights. And because he has a self-heal in his kit, he's happily fine with that, right? His axe will clear the wave, and then he gets down under tower and heal if he takes any poke in response. So Xaliea having no trouble with this.
A little bit of a bait around the Gold Fury here. Qvo's on the side of the map, maybe looking for Realzx, who has beads in the aggression between the two. I think Realzx is dead here. He's going to try and use Valkyrie's discretion to get himself out of combat for a moment. Will Weaver coming in from Zyrhoes, but the beads from Qvo was fantastically timed to make sure he didn't get stunned.
The timing was perfect, just like you said. Knowing that the ultimate's coming through, hold that thought. Lawbster going to be falling as Epindary picks up that kill, and Badgah actually might be able to find Trixtank. His ultimate was available. However, with Funballer and QvoFred in the area, he didn't want to commit too hard to that one.
Funballer needs to work on his pull shots with that one there. The Ricochet did not connect. If it would have, potential threat for Badgah, but Fnatic get themselves on the board now as well, and it did go over to Epindary in the jungle.
We didn't really see what happened there, but it
looks like a rotation more than anything I expect from Lawbster to try and support his team.
That's more than likely what I'm assuming. Although they were kind of around mid camps as well, so Lawbster maybe just trying to get some vision, like you said, maybe rotating, and Epindary taking advantage of that. A nice pick from Fnatic, recognizing that they wouldn't be able to save Realzx in time. I love what Fnatic tried to do to save him, though. Realzx held his ult for as long as he could, to the sky, and then the perfect timing from Zyrhoes to send that World Weaver over, knowing that the second Realzx drops off from that ultimate, the stun was going to connect from Qvo, but Qvo obviously had beads, and they find the kill. It's a lot of high-level play going back and forth.
That's true, and both the junglers now get themselves with a kill on the scoreboard too, so accelerating their builds a little bit. Qvo has already finished Jotun's, though. Across the way, you can see Epindary. Well, he invested into full beads a little bit earlier as well. That's probably why his Jotun's is a little bit more delayed.
A lot of these teams are investing in beads because they know the burst potential from the two Guardians and the amount of CC they bring. Badgah with his no-escape Trixtanks with the belly flop. Realzx just kind of sat there and ate that.
Well, I don't think he expected
I don't think he knew it was going to hit. He's like, oh, he's just going to clear the way.
Clear the minions, but it actually bounced off a little bit further. Qvo, once again on this side of the map, looking to try and pressure, especially because of the freeze coming out from Realzx here, and Badgah's actually baiting a potential fight. He's just shown himself in lane, though, so look at Qvo. He's already potentially leaving here. He's thinking about whether it's worthwhile or not. And instead, Funballer's just going to have to use Ricochet here to clear the minions, and it's very difficult to zone out a Hou Yi because of that.
It is. He's able to tag up the minions and get that XP regardless, but they're not really trying to zone here. I mean, there is that potential, but I think more of it is to make sure that the wave is pushed to their tower. They do not want Realzx kind of going past that invisible mid line where the Gold Fury is. They want to make sure he is more towards his tower because there's been so much pressure on him. He's already found 2 deaths, and that's not typical. That's not a typical thing for Realzx. He's generally very safe in lane and make sure he can get farmed and keep the team in it even when the rest of Fnatic get behind.
Now, as we look at the solo lane there between the two, what do you expect Xaliea to go? Do we expect a Transcendence again out of it?
That's what we typically see here, and I think with the lead we might see that, but then again, he is up against 3 physicals that he's going to be dealing with for most of the game. He shouldn't be seeing Realzx for at least another 10 minutes.
Though. But it is a magical hypercarry. Oh, big attempt for Funballer on this left-hand side. Will Weaver did hit. He's in the sky by himself a second, but he chooses to go back towards the enemy side of things. Ricochet's going to hit Badgah to delay him, but that doesn't stop Epindary coming in with a great sash, and will pick up the kill thanks to Zyrhoes combining with that Spirit Arrow.
I understand why he went more towards the enemy tower because they were all grouped up on the opposite side, but maybe if he jumped towards his own tower, he would have been able to live long enough. Good gank by Fnatic, though, for picking off Funballer and really keeping Realzx in this match.
Well, they do shut Funballer down for a second. He was 2-0-1 just then before that kill, so bit of push on from Fnatic. Now you can see them actually pushing up this wave quickly, and the rotation in from Paradigm to soak that experience and make sure it doesn't go to waste. But blinking from Badgah, they're looking for a play. The banish was hit, the beads is used by Trix, and both the Paradigm boys do get out, but it cost them both beads.
Beads 3 for Trixtank, beads 2 for QvoFred, so that's a window that we might see Badgah try and abuse for now.
You know how important beads are in this game when the support gets beads 3 less than 20 minutes in a game.
Before he finished, I mean, he just finished Sovereignty,
yeah, just
but
before. Yeah, that's really key. Nice spirit out
stun.
connected from Zyrhoes there, putting a little poke on Lawbster. Not the easiest matchup that in the Evil lane for either of them to find a kill, just because of the sustain they both have. But look at this, Fnatic starting up the Gold Fury here. They feel they've got a window of opportunity. Lawbster, I'm not sure he knows about this, and it's actually going to go for free. Well played by Fnatic to give themselves...
Really good call from Fnatic, recognizing that Xaliea had to back there. He also did not have teleport. They send maniaKK over, and they recognize that they have full vision control on that Gold Fury. They were all grouped up kind of in the area and just bursted it down. Whoever made that call, fantastic play.
Beautiful call from Fnatic. If we actually check the golden experience now, it should be relatively even again, at least in terms of gold. As both teams have tied that one up, the kills advantage for Paradigm is not going to waste now.
No, it looks like just a 300 gold lead. Epindary so far really hasn't been that big of a factor, which is what you really want to see on a Naja. You want to see high pressure early game, but because of the few early kills, we weren't able to see that. Now, with the game even, I really want to see Epindary start to open up and look for picks on players.
Well, Zero's going to go back to base one more time. He's working on that Soul Eater, which we mentioned earlier. Whether will we see him pick it up? He picked up Transcendence to begin with, and then transitioned into that Soul Eater, and looks like he's going for the Executioner next as well. Zero's been very quiet in the mid lane. He's not had to do much, but his Will Weavers have made a difference. He's been doing good rotations.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of standard play coming out. If you're not looking for these ganks, which it's very apparent that Fnatic are trying to really play into the mid or late game team fights, but look at this grouping.
Yeah,
no vision on the side of Fnatic, and this could be bad.
They're going to try and dive in
the
there.
stun.
Nice ricochet, forces the beads and backflip out of Zyrhoes. Epindary with the sash to stop any follow-up, but this tower's under a lot of pressure, and the response from Fnatic is not in time to stop it.
You see Badgah start to rotate, but walks right over a ward. He has to back there, and it looks like
Ring toss.
Fnatic want to fight that. Ring toss slowing out 3 players, but nothing going to come from it. You can see Paradigm grouped up as 5 in the mid lane. Same with Fnatic here.
And there's experience being wasted over in that duo lane now, with Funballer still being over here. A 5-man sharing will hurt them a little bit. But look at his rotation to right. 3 members
maniaKK.
are coming over for maniaKK. He's not an easy target to kill, though, with a mystical mail.
He's going to actually take a little bit of poke there. That's a lot of damage, and he's surrounded by 4 players. Stun not going to connect. He's going to be able to get to his tower, but Paradigm, they might have dove too deep here.
Beats perfectly played by from Lawbster there to make sure he didn't get any sort of CC from Epindary. And now Ependary's still looking for Xaliea, though. He's going to use the ultimate, take it to the sky. It will be enough damage. It's a squishy Chaac. It's not a tanky version. Badgah secures it with the chains on landing. Xaliea under a little bit of pressure here. No escape coming out. Is beads available? Yes, it is. And the flop is used. A 1-for-1, solo for solo. But Fnatic come out on top because it looks like they can pressure this tier 1.
If Trixtank used his beads, he's forced out. QvoFred as well. He's got beads online, but he's taking a little bit of poke, and 3-man group up. You can see Trixtank, they're going to back. And Fnatic respond with a tower of their own. They lost their mid lane tower. They were able to secure the soul lane tower, and this game so far, back and forth, it's been dead even.
It has been dead even, and when you look through the whole game, I mean, the one thing about that gank on the right-hand side, though, that was really strange is that Paradigm committed a lot, but didn't find it quickly enough, which allowed Fnatic to try and rotate in and answer back, and they really punished him for it.
maniaKK did a fantastic job of juking up for as long as he could, and Xaliea dove incredibly deep, but like you said, right, I was when I saw the Chaac take to the sky, I'm like, that's a Chaac, he's level 18, you're not going to really burst him down. And I was like, oh, he did go into the Transcendence and Jotuns, and that's the thing. You do a lot of damage as Chaac when you go this build, but you're also incredibly squishy, so much so that a Naja, who does not even have crit online, can take about half your life away in just his ultimate.
And that's exactly what he did. Mid lane, tower has fallen down for Zyrhoes, but Zyrhoes versus Lawbster. Let's have a little look at the mid lane comparison between these two and how they've performed so far this split.
17 wins, 7 losses for Zyrhoes, and all of Fnatic. Same with Lawbster on the other end with 18 and 6. But the KDAs are incredibly close. Same with the GPMs.
And the damage, like, is very, very similar between these two teams. And that's why you find them so close together at 2nd and 3rd right now.
These are just 2 of the best mid laners in Europe. Zyrhoes, though, more of a new player to it. He actually played jungle, and back in Season 1 and back near the launch tournament since then has really adjusted well after becoming the mid laner in the summer split.
Godpool, though, used this season a little bit more limited than we've seen previously from him. We've seen a lot of Poseidon before, but this season he's chosen to stay away from that one. Little bits here of New War and Isis, but for the most part, it's been Giannis and Neith that have been his big go-tos. And then, if they wanted some sustain as a team, looking at the Raw.
And, you know, Giannis having started to been banned out a lot, that's why you're really starting to see the Neith kind of rise a little bit more and see the Raws, which a lot of teams aren't running. There's very few teams that are really valuing the Raw pick.
And then Paradigm across the way, Lawbster there. I mean, he's been running a lot of New War early on in the season. Neith and Ool, he's been looking at the Hunters too. And obviously Isis has been in his God pool as well. So they're not scared to mix it up a little bit, but they've been limiting themselves to just like 3 or 4 gods on rotation pretty much, it feels. Not like they can't play more.
I think it's kind of they play around the fact that they want a stable mid laner. They don't want to experiment too much, or maybe they do experiment in scrims, but they want to make sure when they get into the game, it's a mid laner that they can rely on to make plays. Realzx is in a bad spot here.
Yes.
Trixtank actually jumps the wrong way, thinking Realzx is going to juke elsewhere, and Realzx is able to sneak out of that one. But Badgah blinks into the middle of 3.
No escape going to be used. Beads are available for multiple targets, and he's going to get surrounded and deleted. Badgah will fall off this. Big belly flopping toxic kick coming up from Trixtank. Epindary did take someone to the sky there, but Realzx is the one under pressure. Trixtank trying to zone him out and find the kill. Belly flop should be up soon, but on the backside, Lawbster was the one in the sky with Epindary, and Zyrhoes will find that kill. Belly flop in from Trixtank, only finds one. Epindary does fall to Funballer as the backflip from Zyrhoes finds him an axe in his face. Xaliea going to chase him down.
Oh, the spirit arrow.
Great route comes out from Zyrhoes to keep him alive. In the mid lane, maniaKK is here against Funballer, but maniaKK can't really do much now.
He wants QvoFred, but QvoFred a little bit too fast for him. The stun comes out. There's actually the Neith ult, not going to get
deleted! And now as well, maniaKK falls down. This could be a potential goal fury for Paradigm. Real's the only man alive, but Funballer 1v1.
Zyrhoes gonna actually, or Real's gonna catch out Funballer trying to rotate back in. Real's no
Real's.
ultimate, and Funballer just gets destroyed there. I guess his jump wasn't up.
That was a stealth assassin play from Real's. It was like, okay, 3 of them have rotated, and the 2 that were there, they were like, okay, let's go to Gold Fury. Where's our Hunter gone? Oh, we can't get back in time to save him. That's what happened. Real's actually saved the Gold Fury there, and potentially Fnatic are the ones that could look to take it now.
They do not have a sentry on it. They're going to be able to counter the ward here, and they're going to start it up. Xaliea, though, he didn't back. He stayed in the dual lane. He's going to be the only one able to contest this. It's already under half. Xaliea rotating around. He will get spotted out by that ward. Is Badgah going to be able to hit the chains? No, he misses.
Axe falls over, doesn't connect with the Gold Fury. The Gold Fury's still getting low. They pulled it away from him as well. They will get the Gold Fury. And Xaliea had used the ultimate, now going to get banished out as well. Rotation from Paradigm is here. Trix may look to reinitiate. But no, it does not look like they're going to do that. So Fnatic get that Gold Fury. They played that so well.
Both teams honestly played it phenomenally, but it all came down to Real's able to find that stealth assassin play in the end. Badgah started off that long engagement, blinking into the middle of 3. Unfortunately, his team wasn't in position. However, Paradigm, they invested so much into killing Badgah, which they did get, but you know, I almost think the Suns was too much of an investment. That's such a huge team fighting ult that wasn't be able to use once the big team fight broke out.
Epindary made a big impact though with that ultimate to take
Lawbster
out of the fight, because otherwise I feel Realz should have died then from the Bacchus Intoxicate belly flop combo that he did, but he just managed to survive, which allowed Fnatic to turn that fight around potentially. The Will Weaver as well on Qvo. Ooh wee.
You could see QvoFred, he tried to jump to his team, but he was still in the air. If he had landed that would have been, he would have been able to walk out of there safe, and unlikely that Realz comes in and saves that Gold Fury, and more likely that Paradigm come out on top of that Gold Fury. So, I mean, these were just great plays from both individuals.
It's great plays and great attempts at escaping, not necessarily making it out in every single time, but Gold Fury goes to Fnatic. If we check with Golden Experience now, we should see that it's a nice lead. Well, I say nicely, but it's brought it back to even
1,500 gold at 25 minutes is a dead even game. Look at the experience, 1,200 in the favor of Fnatic. But players are starting to hit level 22.
The story of the game, though, early game, Paradigm just controlled this from the outset.
They had the first 4 kills.
And then Fnatic, slowly but surely, this climb just carried on the whole game. And now
it's because the past 2 fights, right, they've started off in Paradigm's favor, but Fnatic has responded and won not large leads, but small leads off of them. It's the 2 Gold Furies that have kept them in, and Epindary might get caught out.
A little bit of trouble there, the card's on him, not going to panic.
Nice chain.
Get away, Badgah. Chains up Trixtank twice, belly flop
it's all
still
3.
on cooldown anyway, so he doesn't have to worry too much, no panic there. Meanwhile, Xaliea on the backside, going to poke down Badgah, but Xaliea may be a little bit overextended here now.
Spirit Arrow missed from Zyrhoes, but it looks like both teams really wanting to be aggressive. Badgah, he's got 3 locked in. He's going to pull Lawbster, but Lawster's fine, and now Badgah, once again, going to get turned onto. Lawbster locks down that kill, and now it's Epindary way too deep into it.
Looked for the pick onto Lawbster, but didn't find it instead. He took the wrong target to the sky, which was Trixtank. He should be able to get out with the flops. Realzx will secure the kill, though, with the Valkyrie's discretion. Zyrhoes considering chasing this down, challenging the World Weaver, but there's no one there to back up and put the pressure on. Maybe there is now with maniaKK there. World Weaver comes out, but immediately Xaliea looks like he used the beads to escape the stun that followed that one up.
A lot of beads used there. Actually, none from Fnatic. That was all Paradigm's beads.
What's Xaliea doing here up against Zyrhoes? Mid lane, you can see Fnatic trying to push this one on. So far, only a 1-for-1 play, but Epindary looking for a play with a ring toss that bounces on both. Funballer under a bit of pressure there. Xaliea too, but Funballer may get isolated here. Xalia's going to get surrounded as well with a fearless combo. Xalia's going to try and torrent to the axe, but around the back is Realzx. Realzx getting hit by the ultimate from QvoFred. QvoFred now in trouble as well from maniaKK. He'll fall down to Zyrhoes in hands, and now Zyrhoes could look for another.
He's trying, they're going to turn on the Lawbster. maniaKK going to use the pool, but Lawbster, nice beats and nice stun. Epindary finds the last hit, and his ultimate's back up. 1, 2, 3. Funballer's going to fall, and Fnatic are walking away with this game right now.
And a very good job from the team to support him and hold the tower aggro, but Bacchus is back. May try and stop them from backing here. Meanwhile, Badgah in the mid lane was like, guys, I'm going to get some free farm and push the tower down to 1 hit.
He was sitting there auto-attacking it. Trixtank jumping away. I do want to talk where this Fire Giant, it's a little bit risky to do it, and a lot of it came off of Funballer hitting a really nice ricochet onto Realzx, who was affected by that last breath, and he fell. The fact that Realzx isn't here could be the factor that turns this fight.
It's a Bacchus with Intoxicate. He's got a lot of burst damage, does he? So they're going to have
chains.
to zone him. Double chains, triple chains, Spirit Arrow.
No beads.
No escape. No, belly flop over the wall survives, but that means the Fire Giant falls in the favor of Fnatic.
Fnatic right now, 11 kills to 11 kills, but they've been in full control of the objectives. They've got 2 Gold Furies, and now the Fire Giant buff around them. They are currently only 2k up, but they've just been winning these fights a little at a time each engagement.
11-11 is the scoreline. Golden experience, marginal, but, well, I say marginal, but now that swing from those engagements have just put Fnatic into a decent lead.
3,000, that's going to start to be really probably some important second actives and maybe a Deathbringer. Or I guess there's no Deathbringer on Realzx.
We say 3,000, but that's 3,000 across the whole team. It's not just one person has an extra 3,000 gold. So it's not
an average, it's like 800, right? It's like an active.
Yeah.
Like 2 levels of an active.
Or
which
one
can
active
change
and some
fights.
wards. But wards win games too. Speed up being taken by QvoFred with support Trix there as well. Level 19. And Qvo,
look at that. Look at the net worth, actually. All players within 3,000 of each other. Sitting at the highest, a solo laner maniaKK at 1,300. There's no surprise, or 13,000, no surprise there. But Trixtank just under 11,000. I mean, everyone is so close in net worth.
You said these two as well have a 10-10 record against each other. 10-10.
Maybe it'll be 11-11 this time. See, 11 kills to 11.
So you call it a split now?
I called it a split.
I called it a split as well.
This is, I mean, look at this game. How can you call a winner here
this
between these two teams?
The one thing to realize here is this is probably 2nd and 3rd seed coming out of Europe here. This will probably be a match we'll see again at the Super Regionals, but that time round, it'll be the difference of going to Worlds or potentially going to Worlds because they'll drop down to the wildcard spot.
Last time, Paradigm missed out on Worlds. Same with the 2 players they brought in. Funballer and Xaliea, both these 2 teams, they missed out. They combined to form the super team, Trig Esports, now Paradigm, and they are fighting for their chance to go back and be a secured 2nd seed at the Super Regionals.
But Fnatic, they've been at every single event Europe had to offer them. Whenever Europe's been available, they've been there to answer the call. And now, Fnatic once again are like, no, we're going. This is our plan. We're looking to get this buy through into the Worlds. Blinking from Badgah, no escape primed. 3 beads used immediately. Badgah under pressure as per usual, but he won't mind because the rest of the team should be doing work.
Trixtank jumps to the back line, but look at all this AoE damage. Suns are raining down. The Ghosts are doing so much. Badgah's going to get out, but Realzx, he takes out Trix in response. maniaKK finds Lawbster. Look at Xaliea. 4-man silence. Fnatic, they're so low, but they're winning the fight so far. Realzx gets targeted out by Qvo in the back line.
They've got to run. Fnatic have to run here. QvoFred has a lot of mobility.
They're so low.
Funballer can chase down too.
They're splitting.
They're looking.
They baited.
They're trying to split out. maniaKK going to try and trade out. about his life potentially there, but no, sustains and gets away. Will Weaver channeled by Zyrhoes again.
The Fire Giant, the regen. Look at them. They're already back to half life, and Paradigm know this. They're retreating back to their tower.
So that's
Fnatic starting to heal up.
So that split through the jungle and the idea of putting maniaKK into sustain and keep them busy allowed them to continue this aggression. 3 of those gods have self-sustain.
They're already almost back to full life, and now Paradigm, they can't fight into it. They tried to dive. What I really like, though, is that split. What they did is Badgah and Epindary, they actually went on to QvoFred in the jungle because they knew if they could find one stun or one chain to cripple him out, they would have killed him. They forced Quvo out, and then they rotated back in the lane to fight a 4v2.
And now they're so sustained, they're trying to take down a tier 2 by backdoor, and minions are on the way, but Xaliea has turned up with the torrent to put pressure on. They're looking for Neith, who's isolated and silenced out now as well. The axe lands, the flop follows it up as well. We will see Epindary fall, but it looks like the fight is still going to rage on as Badgah's chaining and keeping Xaliea busy. The remaining members of Fnatic will get out. A little bit too much in that mid lane.
Xaliea is so tanky for how much damage he has, and you can really see Fnatic not really wanting to invest all that much into Xaliea. Earlier on in the game, they were focusing him down. They knew they could burst him, but now that he has Mail of Renewal online, now that he's a level 20 warrior who has a lot of base stats, a lot of base HP, even though he's not full tank, he's still hard to take down.
But now with 2 members dead on the side of Fnatic as well, just at least respawning, they're going to pressure the tier 2 tower themselves. Paradigm here. You can see maniaKK on the front side. He's got the full team with him, but slowly but surely, Funballer is poking this one down. Ricochet doesn't really find a mark.
Fire Giant fell off, and you could see Paradigm trying to take advantage and abuse that, but Fnatic going to force him out.
You say the Fire Giant, but it's going to be up soon as well. Like, is it
yeah, but it just fell off of all of Fnatic members. They didn't have the buff. They didn't have the regen or the power.
So what did Fnatic get out of that? They got the Fire Giant got tier 2 tower. Was that it?
They got a tier 1, a tier 2, and I think another. No, they had already taken on the mid.
Yeah.
So no Gold Fury. They got a couple kills.
So from Paradigm's point of view, that was
a great Fire Giant defense.
Yeah.
I mean, not a single Phoenix was even close to pressured, and they were actually able to successfully fight Fnatic. Even though they had come out with the win, it was very close engagement. Without that Fire Giant buff, realistically, Fnatic would have lost that. For me, though, the huge AoE damage potential that Paradigm have when they can combo it well. I think once we get into like the 35-40 minute part of the match, when all these players are full build, the Suns and the Ghost from Zhong did so much work. You saw how low the players on Fnatic were. Fire Giant buff was able to keep them in it, but next time it may not be around.
And it's also the fact the belly flop from Trixtank.
Yes, that was great.
That can factor with the Intoxicate. Yeah, and the Intoxicate that follows it as well just puts extra damage on, makes them drunk, which means you have to choose to use beads or try and wobble your way around to get yourself out of it.
It's a lot of Paradigm's teamfighter is going to come down to QvoFred and Funballer really eliminating some key targets early on. They need to be taking out Reals primarily. After that, either Epindary or Zyrhoes.
I tell you what, the key target right now is Zyrhoes. He's been involved in nearly every single kill in this game right now, and he's not died just yet. And like you said, Deathbringer nearly online. But look at this. Fnatic once again going to start the Fire Giant up this time, though. All members of
Lobster's on the wrong side of the map.
Right, Lawbster
they saw that.
Over at red. This has to be defended by Paradigm here in a 4v5 as Lawbster tries to make this rotation. Trix comes in close. Gold Fury, Fire Giant is going to fall down. It does actually go in the way of Fnatic there. Xaliea is trying to pick on Zyrhoes here and zone him out, but the boys are collapsing onto Xaliea. Will he find the kill on Zyrhoes beforehand? No, he will not. Reals will secure his life. Lobster turns up with a card. Zyrhoes is ticking.
Is that going to be enough?
The shell is not enough to pick him up. Meanwhile, Lobster now under pressure from 3 members surrounded. Trixtank backing out, Funballer backing out, and Fnatic win the engagement
just
again.
fought as a team, protecting the individual players who were getting zoned out. Great play by them. They secure the Fire Giant. It was incredibly close, but then Lawbster and Xaliea dove so deep. First, they tried to focus out Reals, weren't successful. Then they focused down Zyrhoes, weren't successful. Great play by Fnatic. Badgah, Zyrhoes, and Reals fighting together to keep each other alive. The shell pop actually saved Zyrhoes by, it must have been less than 50 health. Tier 2 tower down. Fnatic pressuring the Phoenix. 3 members of Paradigm are alive to defend this, however.
Phoenix under pressure with a Fire Giant on all 5 members of Fnatic here. This Phoenix should fall down here. Paradigm with only 3, not going to be able to defend it. They will swing to the left-hand side, though. No minions yet, so they've got to be a little bit careful about this.
Up in 4.
There is a big combo available for them. All the ultimates are available, so we could see Paradigm defend this.
Looks like they want to give it up.
They want to give it up.
This is, that's a lot of respect to Fnatic, and I actually do like the choice. If Paradigm lose that engagement, even though Xaliea and Lawbster are coming off a spawn, that is game. That's 2 Phoenixes down, and that's a lot of members alive with Fire Giant. Paradigm, they choose to fight at another time in this match. 34 minutes in. Gold Fury going to be the target now for Fnatic, and they're already 11,000 in the lead, about to extend that to about 15.
And we're starting to hit late game now, so we're seeing almost 5-6 items being completed by both teams now. Experience, not that important at this stage. You can see everybody is level 20, so 12,000 experience means nothing. However, gold is definitely a different story.
2,700 in hand for maniaKK. He's about to finish off his build. He sells Bluestone. What's his final item going to be?
Zyrhoes bought Deathbringer, and I've just realized he's still only got one active and not died. He's having such a good game.
I mean, he's getting dove, and look at that. He just is starting to pick up sprint to make sure that he
Agility.
can get away from Xaliea and Lawbster slows.
Do you reckon he'll expect having agility here for the team?
Oh,
play?
100%.
It'll also increase the healing of maniaKK. It'll increase the healing of himself and Epindary as well, which is one thing we've not factored in, but 4 members of this squad of Fnatic here all have self-healing.
And that kind of adds up without you really recognizing it. You see Paradigm, there's not a single bit of anti-healing outside of QvoFred's ultimate online.
Especially when there's 3 Mail of Renewals on their side as well.
Yes.
I mean, that's a double tick.
That's
potentially
actually
a lot.
a good point. We really do need to see some anti-heal be invested in onto Paradigm. Honestly, there's only one active slot up left for them, and maybe QvoFred should invest in that.
Well, we'll see if he actually does go for it, but it's getting to the stage now where things are getting rough for Paradigm to try and stay in this one because the Fire Giant is online for a little bit longer, and you can see exactly where Fnatic
This is
are.
the strongest Fnatic will ever be in the game. For now, Paradigm is just going to be closing the gap. Almost every single member is full build. Almost every single member has max actives outside of Zyrhoes, and they have a Fire Giant buff and 2 waves of fire minions going down. For now, Paradigm, it's all about closing the gap for them. They're not all full build. They still have an active slot open, and they need to successfully defend here.
Fighting for second seed, and at the moment Fnatic have the advantage in this game, but can Paradigm put up a defense? We saw it earlier on when they last had a Fire Giant. Fnatic Paradigm did hold them.
Combo.
Blinking from Badgah, flop from Trixtank, both supports engaging. Trix being isolated a bit as Epindary takes one to the sky with him, and he's going to be under a lot of pressure, but he does manage to get out Funballer away. Xaliea silences on the backside as Mania and Badgah pick up one apiece. Realzx is under pressure but gets away from danger. Qvo blinking in, but a great slash from Epindary to pick up a kill. Zyrhoes picks up Xaliea and a deicide for Fnatic, which will give them game 1.
Fnatic fought so well as a team there, and you could just see it in the past 2 engagements. Epindary, Zyrhoes, and Realzx really fighting together as a unit to keep themselves in it. Great game 1 from them. Great game 1, honestly, from both teams. That was really back and forth. Fnatic were losing a little bit early, but then moving on into really those mid-game team fights, we started to see back and forth. However, Fnatic would just win a little bit, right? So, not a lot. It was just a little bit. And
where
the next
did this game change?
A little bit.
Where did it change? Because first of all, we saw Paradigm get off to a great start, 4-0. We saw a little skirmish over in the duo lane that ended up getting 2 kills for Fnatic, which brought them back into it a little bit. The Gold Fury that first got for Fnatic was very, very good. But sorry, the first Gold Fury for Fnatic was good, but that brought them even. What happened there?
I think it was the team fight at the second Gold Fury is really where it started to swing, where we saw a lot of diving into the backline. Badgah actually pulls 3, and I honestly thought Fnatic was going to straight lose that engagement. Badgah blinks in, finds 3. However, he has no follow-up on his team. He gets bursted. However, Paradigm invests so many of their ultimates to killing Badgah that when the fight actually breaks out, Realzx is able to sneak out just barely, even though Trix was chasing him for a long time and not protecting his team, and then Realzx was able to come back in. Paradigm won the initial engagement, but Realzx finds the sneak kill onto Funballer, and then they're able to walk in and grab that Gold Fury.
Well, let's go right back to the beginning of the game, look at First Blood, which was over in the solo lane. They did trade off nicely between each other, and we saw this pick up for Xaliea. It worked out well for him.
Yeah, you could see the Fearless kind of driving strike through, and QvoFred's here, but that was a solo kill.
But it was a solo kill, but at the same time, I don't think Xaliea would have attempted to go for that if he didn't know Qvo was coming, just to make sure he's secure.
Oh, no, he 100% probably wouldn't have invested. Probably didn't realize that maniaKK was going to Fearless, and that's the thing, right? He Fearlessed forward, was caught in the animation as Xalia's silence was going through, and then he ulted, but he was so far deep towards Xalia's tower that he couldn't get far enough away.
Well, let's have a look at the Alpha Draft top performance from that game, and I expect this could be a bit of a mixture this time round.
Oh, yeah.
Zyrhoes, Epindary, maniaKK. Actually, no, it's all the boys of Fnatic. Good performance from them. I expected to see a Paradigm name or 2.
It was definitely possible.
For sure, but with how he played. But Epindary doing great work in the jungle again. He had a quiet game to begin with, but he did make some big important ultimates.
For me, Epindary, his early game, it really was not impactful at all, but it was his team fights and how well he did to protect his team and really hitting a lot of clutch ultimates on players and locking them down each engagement. He actually earns himself player of the game for that. He played phenomenally.
He did have a good game, and his job there in most of the team fights was take somebody out of the fight while the fight was raging on. Let's go and have a little look through exactly how.
Oh, this was the pick on a Lawbster. Yeah, Lawbster's trying to rotate to that fight, and then he just gets 2v1.
And we expected that one to be the reason why he fell down at the start of that game. And that was sort of the start for Fnatic, where they started to find those kills to begin with. That was the very first kill they found.
And then they were able to find a pick on the Funballer as well, who jumped towards Fnatic's tower, just trying to escape as long as he could.
So a good pick up from him as well. So Epindary does, for a substitute, I believe he's got MVP twice out of 3 games.
Yeah. All on Najah, too.
All on Najah.
Honestly, we might see the Najah ban just to target him out.
I potentially expected that from Paradigm last game.
I really, I wouldn't have done it game 1, even after he had a great performance, because it really wasn't against a top-tier team. But honestly, now I think we will see it. I definitely think there's a chance to see Najah banned out.
Well, these two teams after that first game are now tied on wins so far. They still have one more game of this set left to play. Fnatic have to face against Titan next week.
Yes.
And Paradigm have to face against Epsilon. So at the moment, they could both still be number 2 seed.
It's going to be close, but Fnatic, they have the tiebreaker. If it comes down to that, Fnatic now 3-0 on the fall split.
Good
Historically,
point.
the team also now 11 wins for Fnatic, 10 wins for Paradigm.
I did not think about that. So that means that if these two tie,